It's time for the Freedom in 5 Minutes podcast. Powerful and liberating business strategies you can start in 5 minutes or less. Now, here's your host, Dean Soto.
Hey, this is Dean Soto, founder of freedomin5minutes.com and prosulum.com, prosulum.com. And we're here again with another Freedom in 5 Minutes podcast episode. Today's topic is this: how to build your brand awareness strategy the easy way with Steph Hilfer. That and more coming up. All right, guys. So this is the coolest part of this year, and the coolest part of this podcast is that we are getting back to talking to people that I think will grow your business, not just on average, not just helping you to get to the next level, but literally, truly will exponentially grow what you are trying to do with your company. And with that, we're going to start talking to these amazing people, starting with Miss Steph Hilfer. So, Steph, I was on your podcast before, and you hit me with a really cool question that totally opened up everything like right away. Without saying what you did, like what I did or anything like that, we did the whole start with why.
Yes,
and I was like, this is so cool. So with that being said, I'm going to steal this from you. Why do you do what you do?
Oh my gosh, I love that has hit you and stuck with you. And I also have to thank you because I know we said this off air briefly, but you really gave me the comfort, the confidence to flip my script with you. You know, listeners don't want, it's kind of gets boring to listen to the whole bio and how I just start. And don't get me wrong, I'm not knocking anyone who rocks that way. But, you know, getting into the meat and the potatoes is just like my jam. So with that said, thank you again. And I'm so glad you asked that. You know, my why, whatever vehicle that I choose to live this life through, it has always been helping others see the beauty in themselves. Whether it was through photography or through graphic design, and now through branding, I've been able to help others see how beautiful, and I don't just mean like a model or a pretty picture. I mean beauty in the sense of authenticity, and that there is a whole market for that authenticity. And finding that in yourself. I love being the person who gets to pull that out of people. And we are a visual race, right? We as beings, we eat with our eyes. We judge books by covers, right? We're told not to, but yet we do. And so I love being able to truly help people see, visualize their own beauty. That's my why.
I love that. I could tell you, so it's funny. Every step of the way along my journey, I've always had this feeling of like imposter syndrome, where who would want to who would want to know what I do, or I'm just this like lucky thing that just happened, and so nobody's gonna want to even know what I'm doing with my company. Even when I see your Instagram posts, I'm like, she's got it going on. This is awesome. I'm always like, but that's her, and I can't do that. And that's, you know, Grant Cardone, or that's so and so. So it's really neat to hear you say that, because, you know, deep down inside, I think every business owner, especially ones who are not creative, not extroverted like me, I'm not a creative person. I'm not extroverted in the sense of like design and reaching out to people, extroversion type.
Right.
It's what I want, you know. It's that, to be able to actually be that person that I'm seeing them able to do, and go, oh my gosh, like I actually do have something that's people find attractive in my business, you know? And so yeah, that's cool. So with that being said, like, how do you go about doing that?
Gosh. Well, so it, like I said, my vehicle has changed. And what I mean by vehicle, I'm going to use an example, and they're pretty nationwide. So most people might know Mod Pizza. Okay.
Yep.
Mod Pizza, their why is to serve people. Mm-hmm. Their vehicle is pizza. So my silly exercise is, if pizza were banned from the world, Mod could still live their why, which is to serve people. And so now maybe they're going to have to shift into sandwiches or something, right? Because pizza's banned in this silly example. But the vehicle can change. And so my vehicle right now, and how I help others see their authentic beauty and bring that out, is through working with corporate or personal brands. And now, when we think of branding, right, we started this conversation off with visual. Totally. And that is such a huge part of branding. Logos, color, fonts, imagery, right? How images and videography is taken, the style. Off air, you and I talked about lighting, right? There's so much that goes to that. But there's also so much that has to go with your personality, your messaging. Are you introverted, extroverted, right? Who are you authentically? And this gets a little, I don't got to go too crazy into the rabbit hole, but if we're talking personal brand versus corporate brand, and I'm talking about who you are, there's a lot of work we do to help recognize a personal brand's who you are versus a corporate brand's who you are. Yeah. And it's achievable. It's absolutely achievable. And it helps people connect with you. So as you were speaking of imposter syndrome, one, instantly, thank you for your compliment, but absolutely, I am constantly fighting the imposter syndrome beast all the time. But I'm showing up and I'm powering through it, not because I'm some superhuman, I figured out the kryptonite of imposter syndrome and it can't get me. That's not it. It's because I had one really awesome person say to me that when I don't show up in my own authentic self, and I am naturally very extroverted, so I don't know, maybe I have an edge there, but when I don't show up, I'm being selfish. And I know that seems like, what is that? What do you mean? I am being selfish because I have something freaking awesome that somebody needs.
That's cool.
And by me not showing up and not sharing to the world what my something is, I'm literally taking it away from them. I'm not giving them the chance to be like, whoa, I need them because I have this amazing brand and this amazing business and this amazing thing that I need to get in front of the right people. Yep. But Steph chose not to show up. So I don't know if she exists. I don't know what Viim is.
Yep.
And so who knows where we started with this question, but I just resonated with what you were sharing about that. And that has been a real tool that I've pulled out of my toolkit when I feel like not showing up.
It is powerful. I'm not going to lie, because that's super powerful. I've gotten a couple of clients off of, it's very uncomfortable for me to even on LinkedIn to post stuff. Because I'm like, and trust me, my brand, we're at some point in time, you and I are going to talk about my branding and stuff. Worst branding in the world. We even talked about this on your podcast. It's literally anyway. All that being said, I'm posting stuff that I care about on LinkedIn, and I'm like, this sucks, whatever. But I have one client who came. We are really, really good friends now. And he has used my service to do amazing things. But had I not posted, it literally was stuff that I didn't think anybody cared about. And had I not posted, he would not have become a client. He would not become a close friend who happened to live near me. He didn't live near me at the time, but prior knew where we were, which nobody else knows in Prather. But it literally would not have happened. And that's testament to what you're saying, that, and still I'm off and on, but I'm not consistent. and which we'll get into. But
there's tools for that.
yes,
I got you.
But it goes along with what you're saying is that you do have, like, I did have something, and that person would have literally suffered for, he's been a client for what, almost 2 years now, and he would not be where he is now. Just like I'm sure there are clients who came from you posting stuff that are much better off now than where they were.
Oh, yeah.
So that being said, Viim, how the heck did you come up with Viim with 2 eyes?
Yes, 2 eyes. I love this story. So I knew as a creative agency, as a branding agency, I knew there was a few things I really wanted to name, but I felt an immense amount of pressure to get it right. I was like, this is huge. This has to be the right name. But I also had a lot of faith in myself that when it hit me, that I would know it was it. And it happened with them. But it took a while. And I'd been racking my brain, trying things, doing the exercises, Googling, all the things. And I finally said, these are the things I know I want. I want a single word. Ideally, it would be amazing if it was a real word. But if I have to make up a word like Venmo or Uber or Google, then okay, right? I can do that.
Yep.
I knew I wanted that. It was a bonus if it had the letter M in it, because your branding is fueled through your marketing. Your brand is your marketing is the vehicle to get your brand out, right? So marketing was huge for me to have in there. And then the real integral word letter that I had to have in there was I, for intentional. So I've got this list of things I know I need and want, and I just literally pick up a dictionary. And if you think about where V in the alphabet lives, you know this girl was up the wee hours of the night flipping through the dictionary. Now, I'm not going to paint the picture that I went page by page, but I was definitely flipping through the dictionary. Yeah. And when I landed on this word, I immediately remembered it in my sphere of words. It's not a standard English word, but it is an English word. Yep. And when I was young, my elders who have a different vocabulary than us now, right? Yep. My elders would say to me, you are full of vim and vigor. And it hit me like a wave that I was like, whoa, I know this word. Yep. Now, as you point out, vim in English is actually spelled with 1 I. And as a creative agency and in my background, I know the first thing you do when you're naming something is make sure URL availability is there, check social platforms, right? Make sure you can kind of land in the space and own it. So Viim with 1 I definitely was not available. So I knew I for intention was super important. And another really important word for my brand is integrated. So integrated in the sense that your visual and intention has to be integrated cohesively and consistently throughout your marketing. Yep. But then also the 2 I's, they're in my logo. And I know some people are listening to this, possibly some people are watching this. My 2 I's are meant to look like 2 entities, 2 human beings.
That's totally what it looks like.
Because when we integrate, right, I don't know everything about the world of VAs and the world of support and growing your business through the power of numbers. I don't know everything about that. I sure know a lot about what I do. And if we integrate our brains together, holy cow, the amount of amazingness that we can create, it's just limitless. And so I knew that I could add that extra I in there and really encapsulate all that Viim is: visual, intentional, integrated marketing. Long answer, but that's it.
I love it though. It's so good. It's so good because, okay, this might make you, which is intentionally, the intention behind this is actually to make you uncomfortable. Okay.
Let's do it.
Because so I've worked with people, with branding agencies in the past, and I love how you're saying this because it actually made me, I'm like, that was the missing piece. Okay. And we'll kind of get to that in just a little bit, but
yeah,
the last branding agency that I worked with, I probably talked to them maybe an hour.
Okay.
And they got, my intention and things like that and so on and so forth. And then I did not hear, and mind you, I spent a lot of money, like thousands of dollars, did not hear anything back for almost a month. And then I was like, dude, do you guys even doing anything? I'm like, it doesn't look like it. So give me my money back. And they're like, oh, we just finished. And they gave me all of these things for Prosulum as kind of like a rebrand type thing. And to the point, but the things that I got back were things like, well, you're kind of like a hive. So maybe like task bees, we'll call you task bees. We'll do this and all this stuff. I was like, well, there goes my thousands of dollars. That sucks. And it was past the 30-day refund policy and all that other stuff. I was like, okay, well, chalk it up. I move fast. It's whatever. But it left a huge bad taste in my mouth. It was, and this is not the first time that's happened. That type of stuff has happened. And so, like, how do you even go about doing what you say that you do?
Yeah, I love that question. First of all, you're not alone. There's so many things that my clients have said to me that warm my heart and that make me feel really good about doing what I do. But one of the ones that sticks, that's so simple, was no one has ever asked me that. And I'm like, how and why has no one ever asked you this? So the way that we do what we do is the very first step in our journey together is we do a discovery day. And I call it discovery, and it's a full day. I call it discovery intentionally because remember that keyword integration? I'm discovering, and oftentimes you're either discovering or rediscovering. And sometimes if we have what I call the power players, let's say we have multiple power players at discovery, what happens oftentimes, even if it'll be like two CEOs, they'll be like, whoa, that's what you think? Or, oh, I forgot we talked about that.
Totally.
And so there's this discovery of flushing things out. And remember what I said, my why is bringing things out of people. It's not me creating this for you and telling you have beehives or whatever, not trying to pick on them, but it's not my idea. It's not putting lipstick on a pig. It's truly bringing out what is in you already that by the grace of my creator, gave me this way of just seeing it. I just feel it and start to see it as it comes together in our conversation. And we go through in this discovery day, whether it's virtual or in person, we go through several different exercises with the power players of the brand. I want to touch on power players for a second in a minute, but we go through these exercises. And I want to touch on the feeling that you had of kind of being ghosted almost, right? So we go through this whole day, very immersive, very energetic. I mean, if you're listening to this, however many in, there's energy being brought to these days. There's definitely the Viim coming at you. But we go through these exercises, and I am very intentional, and I very much prepare my clients, but I didn't until this happened. Let me tell you what happened. Went through discovery with one of my clients. We had 3 power players. The CEO was included, who I'd been working with the most. And we went through discovery, had a phenomenal day, ate lunch together, all the things. And mind you, this was I think it was on a Thursday. Yeah, it was on a Thursday. And we wrap up. I do my thing. I'll keep going with work and life and all the things. And on Sunday, I hear from the CEO. Sunday. Okay. And he goes, hey, I feel like we went on this really long, hot date and you just ghosted me. Am I going to hear from you again? And I was like, it's Sunday, dude. But whatever it was, whatever day it was, however many hours or days had gone by from that moment to the time he reached out, he felt ghosted. right? And that tells you a couple things. One, it was a really powerful day.
Yeah.
He got a lot out of it and wants to continue to be in that energy.
Yeah.
So it was a very huge testament to me. And I was so grateful for those words. But it taught me that the same feeling you had of the 4-week ghost period, we take a few weeks. I call it the marination period.
Yep.
I and my team, we take all of the work. By the way, whether in person or virtual, we record discovery because my team, who can't always be at that day, my team needs to be as immersed as I am in discovery and as you are. All of us need to be integrated. So we record this day. And so it's a 6 to 7, sometimes longer day. And so we spend a marination period doing market research, doing creating content, creating design, creating conceptuals, lots of pieces, right? The visuals play off the content. The content is based off of the research. There's so much work that we do. So I have learned to set the expectation for clients that we're going to be in a marination stage. Yeah. Maybe 2-3 weeks, I'm going to reach out to you and tell you about where we're at. And I'm going to set your initial concept preview date. But I don't want you to feel like during that time, you can't reach out. Maybe something strikes you and you're like, oh, I should have told Steph this. Shoot me an email, shoot me a text, whatever. But it's all about setting the expectations for whatever is authentic to the experience they'll have.
That's cool. Yeah, and I love that because that feeling of being ghosted, that's such a good way of putting it.
Yeah, right?
Especially after going through all of that and then boom, nothing. It's I know for me, the feeling was at first, the first week it was like, oh cool, they're doing something. The second week was like, are they doing something? Third week was like, and fourth week was like, dude, give me my money back. Like, this sucks. And so it honestly felt like it goes from, wow, you actually get what I'm saying, to that first feeling of being ghosted is like, well, did they really get what I was saying?
Or maybe did they not like what I was saying?
Yeah,
right?
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so, and so it's so cool that you have the expectations set like that, and that it's still like, okay, we're working, but if anything comes up, reach out.
Yeah.
Boom. It's like, we're working, but we're still doing this together. It's not like, we're not going to be there. And that makes all the difference big time, that setting expectations, especially with branding. I know for me, literally I'm selling myself right now, by the way. So, because the other thing is so Prosulum is, for me, seems like it's until we either get bought out or something like that, it's just going to stay what it is. But I didn't even think you mentioned this before, that there's a possibility of also the personal branding side, which can complement, and then on that side is it's a whole different type of thing. So how do you decide, or do you help in that process of determining, hey, well, your brand right now is actually pretty cool, or it's working, or whatever, should we just do your personal brand? And how do you get to that? How does that work in your realm?
Right. I mean, it's a little different for each scenario, but there's a couple ways that I can answer that. So first of all, even for myself, it's in my personal brand and my corporate brand, I have a team. I have a team of 20, but I really lead the charge, and I am the face of the brand. So, well, okay, maybe I will evolve, keyword here, evolve into a corporate brand one day. Right now, this is where I am. And this is a very awesome place to be, right? It's not this is where I am. This is me right now. It's real and authentic. So let's really make sure we're branding to that. And I said evolve a moment ago because I do agree and believe in the concept of rebranding. I believe that it's necessary at times and that it's definitely possible to need that. But I don't think it's as needed as people use it. I think truly, and what I speak to a lot of the companies I work with, is we are brand evolving. You're just in a brand evolution. The core of what we've always believed and why we do what we do has not really shifted a huge amount, but maybe what we do or the way that we do it has changed. And we need to represent that evolution through how people absorb our content and our marketing messages and our brand. So I talk a lot about brand evolution, and I really talk about what will serve you best to deliver your why.
That's cool. Serving
you best is such a different thought process than what do you like best? What looks best?
I can tell it's fun, and that is such a huge pet peeve of mine. As soon as I get asked what do you like best or I'm actually like, dude, I run a big company. I don't have time for this. For me, you're getting the fire out of me right now. So I apologize, but I'll have my video. I actually had to reprimand one of my videographers because he's like, hey, what do you want to do? Do you want to film it here? You want to do this? I'm like, you're the freaking professional. You tell me what to do. I'm paying you to help me to have a specific look, And so as soon as I hear well, what are you feeling? What are you thinking? Or whatever, not in the sense of Discovery Day, that makes sense.
Right.
But if I'm making with Prosulum, when I was with that other brand company, they were doing that the kind, and so I'm like, I guess I want to rebrand. Yeah, that sounds good. Sure. And then, this was years ago. Had I rebranded, we would not be where we are now. And literally, it was almost like God just saying, "Nah, just keep Prosulum. You'll evolve into it," which is what has happened. But I also think there's more to evolve into it, maybe being the face of it, and so on and so forth, and consistency. But all this being said, I've never heard any brand marketing agency ever say what you say. Usually it's kind of just cookie cutter. And so how do you how do you even know, are there times where you're like, hey, you should be the face of this. This shouldn't be a corporate brand because you're having success. How do you even know that?
Yeah.
Or we should split off and have you brand over here and this and that,
Well, and you can have, I have my own personal brand, and and Viim has a brand.
Yep.
So they're very united right now. But as I personally continue to be a host of a podcast, who knows if, let's say I became an author, this will never happen, but let's say I ran for some sort of political office, right? Now that doesn't all have to tie into my business or my corporate brand, but I have validity in where I came from through the brand evolution of all of those things. So I've had companies come or individuals come to me, and we talk in the idea of umbrellas. So if your umbrella company encompasses smaller companies, then let's say in the example I just gave, let's say I am a politician, an author, and a business owner, but my personal brand is maybe my umbrella. And then each of the items underneath have their own supporting brands as well. So it's really looking at the web that you are creating and how it all supports. So we use the word intention. Sister word to intention is strategy with branding, personal or corporate. And just so you know, I said politician, right? So the personal brands are also athletes.
Yeah.
It doesn't always have to be, I sell markers, and so I need a brand, right?
Yep.
anyone who is influencing a behavior from somebody else essentially has a brand. I say brand identity, personal brands. I'm really starting to use the concept of digital reputation. If we are influencing others' actions intentionally, we want to do that. You need to harness your personal brand. So I just have conversations about the intention of why are we even talking, and what do you want to do with your brand? And that really naturally leads us into the conversation of what's going to serve them best now. And then knowing, and I will say it, even in the books that we create for our brands, in the back of every single book from the very beginning of time, I knew I wanted several pages that I have named brand evolution. And they're blank pages with dates. Because I want you, even, and how backwards is it? Hey, I'm your branding company. I'm going to create this brand, but I want you right away, day one, to start telling me how to change it.
Yeah, totally.
You know? And most companies aren't. They're going to say, oh, this is perfect. Don't touch it.
Yeah.
No, I want it to stand the test of time. And there are things that we're going to keep cohesive and consistent because that is the power in what you're investing in. But I don't want you stunted. Yeah. I want you to feel so limitless in what we created that you can go anywhere with it and evolve, but maintain the work and investment we did. So I talk about that day one. And I think it does seem a little backwards sometimes when I say it, but hopefully it comes across well.
No, it's always the end in mind and like the start with why and all, type thing. And that's what's so powerful, because then everything that you're doing from that point on is all intentional toward whatever that future goal is, and so on and so forth, that evolution. And so super powerful. So now we come to the question of the day. So every episode that I do where I'm interviewing someone, I always ask this one question. What's something, so in 5 minutes or less, what's something that somebody could do right now that if they were intentional about it, that it would completely just revolutionize what they're doing and help them to grow exponentially?
In 5 minutes.
Yes.
Okay. So and I know not everyone's watching, but for anyone who happens to be visually seeing this. So in the books we create, 80+ page books, we create what we call the brand identity snapshot. We have one page, front and back. On the front, we have our visual. Okay. On the back, we have our intentional. Okay. What you can do in 5 minutes. And I want you to trust me on this. Don't do it on, I want to do these exercises first and then I'll do it. No, take the 5 minutes right now. And on the front of this piece of paper, I want you to establish your logo. If you have a couple variations, narrow it down to the top 3 variations you use. Okay. If we have to go old school and we're cutting and pasting like we're in kindergarten again, then that's what you need to do. Yeah. If you're savvy and you want to do it in some design program, then do that. But on the front page, I want you to put your visual logos right on the top. Don't put 20, put the top 3. Then I want you to put the colors you use, right? And if you only have one, that's fine. I told you, do what you have right now, okay? Don't overthink this. Put the colors you use. If you do a lot digitally and you do a lot print-wise, maybe look up the color codes. If you're like, whoa, what is she talking about color codes? That's fine. Just put purple, okay?
I love that.
Establish those colors. Now, if you have 12, let's maybe once again go back to your top 3, 4, 5. Okay, no more than that. Put those colors down. What fonts do you use? Pick the fonts you use. Same thing. Solidify a few at best. Okay. Don't worry about if they all look good together. This is about who you are and where you are right now visually. Put it all on one page. Then I want you to put on the back, I want you to put what you believe is your mission, your why, and any core values you have established. If you have anything more to add to that you think really drives your company, put that there. And now what you have in your hand, and that hopefully should take you 5 minutes, right? because I'm not having you recreate the wheel. These things should come up,
Yep.
right? Now I want you to use that, pin it right in front of your office on your cork board right there. And I want you to keep referencing it every time you do anything. If you're creating a post, if you are writing an email, if you're changing things on your website, and I want you to look at the paper and think, does it match?
Yeah. That's good.
And if it doesn't match, make it match. Work with someone to help you establish your brand, make sure it's truly serving you well. But I will tell you, the worst colors you could choose, even if your logos are horrible, even if yours are all across the board, if you just simply consistently follow that guide you just made, you will see benefit. Even if it's no branding person ever touched it, you will improve. I promise you. And I promise you.
Oh, that is awesome. I love that so much. And it is so true, because like my branding is like the worst right now. And it was just after like literally years of going off and then back on, off and then back on that. But imagine when you have amazing branding and you're consistent too.
Right.
It's crazy.
Well, I have to share this stat that will support why I promise you that you will grow. Forbes released a really beautiful article about what you can do to improve. And if you want to increase revenue, bing, 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 all the number people, you're chiming in now towards the end. If you want to increase revenue by up to 23%, and I promise you it's more, I have my own stats, it's more, but up to 23% or more, then have a consistently present brand. Yes. Be consistent and cohesive, and that alone will increase revenue by 23%.
That's huge. That honestly is huge.
It's so huge.
And then the compounding of that just over time it's nuts. That is like printing your own money just by being consistent with your brand.
Absolutely.
I love it. So how can people start discovering themselves?
Oh, I love that. Well, I am, if you want to get Viim, you can find me at Get Viim on all the socials. I'm most present on LinkedIn, Facebook, and Instagram. My website is getviim, remember, 2i's.com. There is a 90-second video that I would love for you to check out. It is everywhere on my website. You cannot miss it. And it's a really beautiful walkthrough of the thoughts around why someone would need, to work with a branding specialist, and then what even more they got out of it than they ever even thought they would. So those are probably the easiest places to get a hold of me. I am very present in my company, so if you book a consult, it is going to be with me, and I love clearly chatting. So let's do it.
I love it. So yeah, go check out what Steph is doing at Get Viim, 2i's, and it is like, I normally, just to be fully transparent, I do not like people in the branding space at all. Given past experiences multiple times, and to have her as literally my first revamp of having guests on this podcast show how much I believe in what she's doing and how amazing she actually is. So all that being said, so with that, thank you so much, Steph, for being here. I appreciate you so much. And so go check out Steph at Get Viim, and I will see you all in the next Freedom in 5 Minutes podcast episode.